favorable matchup where Pavelski line with Kane and whoever else is on that line, because they like to rotate it a bit, you're going to have that unfavorable matchup against one of the bottom two pairings, and you're not going to be able to prevent it. And I think that would just be too much to overcome in a 7-game series.
Yeah, I mean, let's just put it in perspective. I know that Doughty's better than Cam Fowler, but let's say the Kings don't have Drew Doughty or Jonathan Quick.
Yeah.
What do you do? I mean, do you think they're going to get out of the first round if they make the playoffs?
No.
Most likely not going to happen. So you take away, two pivotal positions. That's just what's going to happen to any team. What do we got next?
I'm looking. I mean, we had a lot of just comments that we probably should have got to earlier on for the different things that we were talking about in the chat. Let's see. All right, so Chase brings up a question again. It's kind of just pretty much. I guess this is exactly what we just answered. He said, if Gibson is hurt for an extended period of time and the Ducks make the playoffs, do you think they have a chance to make it out of the first round? Literally, we just answered that. So sorry, but yeah, I mean, no, I don't think so. And Ryan Miller would have to stand on his head, like we just said. It would be very, very tough because of the way John Gibson has played so far. Connor says, this isn't a Ducks-related thing, but it kind of goes back to your comments about Taylor Hall. He said the Devils could survive without Taylor Hall. The Avalanche would be where they were last season without Nathan MacKinnon.
I don't know how he sees that. I would like to know where his thinking is on that. Interesting argument. I find it hard to believe just because of the massive gap in points and what Taylor Hall has done for that team. I mean, he single-handedly won the game for them tonight with a shorthanded goal. If he's still on our chat and still listening, I'd love to hear a comment or maybe shoot us an email or hit us on Twitter with something, because I would really love to have that discussion just because I love covering the NHL as a whole, and those kinds of conversations intrigue me a bit. But I don't know. I know that he likes MacKinnon, obviously, like you. Do you think that's possible, though? I mean, do you think that's a bit of a stretch, or do you feel like that's something that you could see as well?
I think the Devils are in a better spot. If you had to take MacKinnon out of Colorado and Taylor Hall out of New Jersey, I feel like the Devils fare a little bit better than the Avalanche do, but they're not a playoff team without Taylor Hall. And I mean, you can say that for any team. I mean, you take any team's best player out, and it makes them that much worse. And even if you replace him with an average guy, but I feel like the Devils fare a little bit better. But I don't think they're okay without Taylor Hall. I mean, those are the two front runners for the Hart for the reason, in my opinion, because of how pivotal they've been towards their team's success. So, yeah, I agree with it slightly in the fact that I think MacKinnon probably means a little bit more to the Avalanche right now, but Taylor Hall's he's very close behind.
How many points do you think Nico Hischier has?
I would say 45 or 50 at this point.
How many points do you think Taylor Hall has?
I think he just hit 90 the other day.
He's got, according to, and maybe this doesn't count as goal tonight, I had to go double check, but according to New Jersey Devils site, or NHL.com, going to the Devils, looking at their stats, Taylor Hall has 89 points, 37 goals, 52 assists. Nico Hischier's played 5 more games than Taylor Hall and has 51 points, and he's second in scoring. Just throwing that out there. He's dominant.
Yeah, no, there's no question that he's definitely dominant. I just think I don't want to get too much in on this, but I just think what Nathan MacKinnon's done for the Avalanche, if he wasn't there, they'd be in a lot worse position than New Jersey would. I feel like they just have a little bit more depth in that lineup, and I just like the way they're built more than the Avalanche. But
Mikko Rantanen has 82 points.
But I'm moving on because I don't want to get into this because when we'll talk about this all night. But let's get back to some more Ducks related questions. So Connor coming up with a different question here related to the Ducks. He said, how many remaining games do the Ducks need to win to make it into that third Pacific seed? So
damn it, we need to figure this out.
Yeah, so currently, I have it open, so we're good. But currently, they're actually in the third Pacific Division seed spot right now. They're 1 point up on LA with the same amount of games played. So essentially, they win the remaining games that they have, and they're in that spot. It's hard to really go any further than that because it all depends on how LA does. And if basically, if both teams won out, then the Ducks would still have that spot because they're in it right now. If they won 2 out of 3 games, they'd have a good chance of getting in. But then again, if LA wins out, then they move down. So it all really comes down to what LA does. But the Ducks are definitely sitting in a lot better spot getting that extra point tonight.
Yeah, St. Louis, I guess they have a game in hand. They have an outside chance to get a wild card spot if the Ducks end up getting bumped down. But, yeah, to get that division spot, they basically have to win out, and LA's got to lose.
Yeah. So Dean asks, who would you say Kasha plays like? And he says here, comparisons from players of yesteryear. Now, I hate these because, for one, it's very difficult for you to remember and compare players past years. I'm just not good at it. I'm notorious for making very bad comparisons. But I just don't like comparing guys with players from the past. I feel like the game's really different. I'll still do it, but I want to get your opinion if you have a guy on the top of your head that Kasha kind of compares to.
Good Lord. I watched a lot of hockey in my life, man, and I'm terrible at that too. I mean, if I had to pick, I mean, does he have to be Ducks related, or could he be anybody?
I think he means anybody. Just a comparison of who, what kind of player he kind of resembles.
Andre Kasha.
He's an energy guy, right? I mean, he's like, I feel like it's a question
but he's got hands.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely one that we can dedicate like a slot to on the next show and just kind of go into it a little bit more because I feel like it warrants that. I would really like to look into that question and kind of see because right now, yeah, I mean, I'm at the same point as you. I don't really have a guy on the top of my head. And if you guys think of somebody, throw it in the chat and we'll bring it up. But I don't really have a guy on the top of my head that I think he really compares to. And that's not saying he's completely different from any other player. I just don't have a memory good enough to remember and compare players from probably even last year. So I think we should definitely dive into that at a different time.
I could do that.
All right, let's see. I got to scroll all the way back up here now. All right, so Derek said, how many times did we get kicked out of the face-off circles tonight? Did we really commit that many face-off violations?
I don't know. It's hard to listen to the broadcast because the broadcast is definitely going to favor the Ducks. I mean, they're paid to favor the Ducks. They're paid to be homers on everything. I don't know. I mean, the players were obviously upset about it, so I'm sure maybe there was some delay. I mean, I know Hayward was going nuts about Gibbons, the linesman, with holding onto the puck, and how the coaches were. They don't like it when the referees make the game about them, let alone how dare a linesman make the game, put the spotlight on him. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, he encroached, sure, but I mean, was the linesman like flinching or like ready? Did he say something? Was there some sort of key where he was supposed to drop the puck? I have no idea. That's hard for me to judge. Yeah.
I hate this rule. I honestly, I mean, I hate that they hesitate so often to drop the puck. It's become such an issue, and it's honestly so annoying to watch. And I'm sure it's something they probably want to get out of the game because it slows it down a bit, but it's something they got to figure out because it's annoying to watch, and you can see. I mean, Getzlaf was just pissed. It was 3 times in a row where they got kicked out of the draw, and I get there's different rules and regulations you have to follow when you're taking a face-off, but it's just so annoying to watch them have to reset the face-off or not drop the puck, kick a guy out. It gets tedious at times. Yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you on this one.
What?
I'll hop in over you real quick in our chat. Earl asked, he says Kasha plays a lot like Andre Palat on the Lightning. What do you think about that?
I think so. I haven't watched a ton of Andre Palat. I think the comparison is there because I believe they're both Czech. So there's a little bit of a link there. But yeah, I think so. Andre Palat has the hands. He's not necessarily a fully offensive guy like Andre Kasha. He's kind of that energy guy that plays on their second or third line, can provide offense, is good in his own zone. So I think so. I think that's a fair comparison. I don't know if it's like 100% on the head, but I think it's closer than we've gotten because we gave nothing. So
yeah, we've had no opinion.
So yeah, I think that's a good comparison. But again, I definitely want to look into that more because I feel like there's some really good ones we can draw up and find some really close comparisons to the type of player that he is.
All right, what else we got in this chat? We have a few of them. Connor brought up the point earlier in the chat about the Kasha. We mentioned in the chat that we'd say bridge deal. Is that still what you're feeling like? Just to kind of wrap that still. I mean, people keep bringing that up, and I understand why. Just it's interesting to see what's going to happen with him being an RFA. But do you think that's what's going to happen?
Yeah, a lot of people are saying either bridge deal or a similar contract to what Raquel got. I feel like that's the direction it's going. I think he's at, 19 goals now? So if he hits 20, that's obviously a huge boost for him in his contract discussions. But, yeah, I think so. I think a 3-year deal, probably at something around $3 million, close to what Cogliano's earning right now. Just something like that to he's a third-line guy, maybe borderline second-line guy the way he's been playing. So I think he gets paid to that point. And then they also look for the upside potential for him to possibly get more. I mean, we talked about Kosh's potential on the last show, so I think he gets that type of deal where he gets paid a little bit now for what he's done, but there's also room for him to get a bigger contract in the future.
I agree.
Moving on to another question in the chat from Earl. We can fire through this one quick because we are getting pretty late. He says, do you guys like Perry on the third line or the first line more?
He played well on the third line tonight for the limited minutes he had with Henrique. I kind of like him on that top line still. I feel like, Getzlaf is going to give him the best opportunity to shoot the puck. And, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Perry doesn't have the moves of old, but he can still fire the puck with the best of them. I would like him on the top line still.
Yeah, I think we keep him on the top line. It was a nice experiment to have him down on the third line, but I don't know if that's going to work long term. We haven't really seen it that much where he's played with. I think he was with Henrique and Kasher, right, when he was down on that third line. So it'd be an interesting experiment for maybe earlier in the season if they had to try that. I think this late, it's kind of risky to split them up based off like a small sample size, pretty much just the third period. So I'd keep him on the first line for now. But if things aren't working well, then maybe you put that line back together and see if you can kind of duplicate some of the success.
Yeah, no, I could go with that. I mean, maybe tinker with it in the off season or training camp, see if Kashif can fit up on that line. But I think Perry's to stay on the top line unless something crazy happens.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move down here in the chat. Here, from Gordon Bombay asked a question. He said, the chances that the Sharks lose out and we win out. He said they're only 4 points back right now, and we could take home ice from them. I mean, it's still a possibility. It's a slim possibility, but it's still up there.
Yeah, no, it's there. It doesn't really matter to me where they slot in.
Yeah.
As long as they're not playing Vegas and they're not playing Nashville, I'm okay with wherever they go.
Yeah, I mean, well, San Jose has a tough schedule. I mean, they've already lost 3, and they had arguably, I think when I had double-checked a couple days ago, they had the third hardest schedule out of any team in the National Hockey League. Well, they've already lost to St. Louis, Nashville, and Vegas, and it doesn't get easier because they play Dallas, Colorado, and Minnesota. I mean, there's a chance. There is a chance that the Sharks lose all 3, but that's the only way the Ducks get in. I mean, the Sharks have to lose all 3. I believe San Jose's row is too high for tiebreaker. I don't think the Ducks can pass them. So the Sharks would have to lose all 3, and the Ducks would have to pick up points in each game so they'd have to go 2-1-0 or win out. So there's a chance, but I feel like it's like a 5% chance that happens. I really don't see San Jose losing all 3, and I think it's difficult to say that the Ducks are going to win the next 3 games as well.
Yeah, no, I'd have to go with you on that. But like I said, no Vegas, no Nashville, I'm okay.
For sure. Earl put in the chat, good series if we play the Sharks. Vegas would be more fun, though. I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like Vegas would be extremely stressful, and it'd be a tougher matchup because their speed, I think, would just wear down the Ducks. I honestly think the Sharks would probably be a more exciting matchup. I feel like they're both big physical teams kind of left over from what the West was back in the day, both kind of transitioning into that speed game, so it's a mix, and the rivalry is there, so I feel like that would be a more fun series. I don't know, what do you think? Do you think the Sharks series would be more fun, or if they played Vegas, do you think it'd be a more fun series to watch?
I would have to go San Jose, just because the nastiness is going to be there. I would like to see it. I mean, you're going to get the nastiness with any team that plays Anaheim, but I really feel like that game against the Sharks is going to be full of hatred. It's as close to as rivalry a game as you can get when you're talking about an LA team against Anaheim. The game against San Jose would be almost as bad. I mean, I think the Ducks might get run out of Vegas in the first round, especially with the injuries. They have a better chance, I feel like, against San Jose.
Yeah. Going back to the Cash comparisons, Matthew brings up in the chat saying he kind of seems a bit like Jonathan Drouin. I don't know. I feel like Kasha is a little bit more responsible in his own end than Jonathan Drouin. I still don't know what to make of Drouin because he was drafted so high at one point, was such a hype prospect, and all that went wrong in Tampa Bay, and now being in a Hockey Central environment like Montreal, it's very tough to compare anybody to Jonathan Drouin right now. But I mean, I get it in the offensive ability, but I don't know if he is necessarily a like-for-like comparison.
No, that's a really tough one. Jonathan Drouin's a guy that I really was dying, and my friends got sick of me talking about it for sure, but I was dying to get him here in Anaheim for, at the trade, was it before he went to Montreal. I was like, come on, Bob, like do something to bring this guy over. This guy's amazing. But I feel like I don't watch enough Jonathan Drouin hockey to see anything in his defensive